Now we'll hear the Holy Father's catechesis.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning. The beautiful prayer of the elderly man that we find in Psalm 71, which we just heard, encourages us to meditate on the strong tension that dwells in the condition of old age, when the memory of labors overcome and blessings received is put to the test of faith and of hope.
La prova si presenta già di per sé con la debolezza che accompagna il passaggio attraverso la fragilità e la vulnerabilità dell'età avanzata.
The test already presents itself with the weakness that accompanies the passage through the fragility and vulnerability of advanced age. And the psalmist, an elderly man who addresses the Lord, explicitly mentions the fact that this process becomes an opportunity for abandonment, deception, prevarication, and arrogance, which at times prey upon the elderly, a form of cowardice in which we specialize in this society of ours. It's true, isn't it? And this culture of, in this throwaway culture, the elderly are thrown away and they suffer very much. Indeed, there is no lack of those who take advantage of the elderly, to cheat them and to intimidate them in myriad ways. Often we read in the newspapers or hear news of elderly people who are unscrupulously tricked out of their savings, are left without protection, and abandoned without care, or are offended by forms of contempt and intimidated into renouncing their rights. Also in families, and this is very serious, but it happens also in families. Such cruelty occurs within families. The elderly cast off or sent into rest homes.
L'anziano messo proprio all'angolo dell'esistenza.
The elderly are put into a corner of existence. It happens today. It happens in families. It happens often. We have to think about this. The whole of society must hasten to take care of its elderly. They're a treasure. They're increasingly numerous, and also often the most abandoned. When we hear of the elderly who are dispossessed, who have their autonomy taken away, their security, even their homes, we understand that the ambivalence of today's society with regard to old age is not a problem of occasional emergencies, but it's a feature of that throwaway culture that poisons the world we live in. The older person of the psalm confides his discouragement to God. My enemies speak concerning me. Those who watch for my life consult together and say, God has forsaken him. Pursue and seize him, for there is none to deliver him. The consequences are fatal. Old age not only loses its dignity, but it even doubts that it deserves to continue. In this way, we're all tempted to hide our vulnerability, to hide our illness, our age, our seniority, because we fear that they are the precursor to our loss of dignity. Let's ask ourselves, is it human to induce this feeling? How is it that modern civilization, so advanced and efficient, is so uncomfortable with sickness and old age? They hide sicknesses, and people feel they have to hide sicknesses in old age. And how is it that politics, which is so committed to defining the limits of a dignified survival, is at the same time insensitive to the dignity of a living coexistence with the old and the sick. The elderly person of the psalm which we've heard, who sees his old age as a defeat, rediscovers trust in the Lord. He feels the need to be helped, and so he turns to God. St. Augustine, commenting on this psalm, exhorts the elderly, "Fear not that you be cast away in that weakness, in that old age. Why do you fear lest he should forsake you, lest he cast you away for the time of old age, when your strength shall have failed? Yea, at that time in you will be the strength of him, when your strength shall have failed." So St. Augustine. And the elderly psalmist invokes God, saying, "Deliver me and rescue me. Incline thy ear to me and save me. Be thou to me a rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me, for thou art my rock and my fortress." This invocation testifies to God's faithfulness and calls on his ability to rouse consciences that have been diverted by insensibility to the span of mortal life, which must be protected in its entirety. Again, he prays thus, "O God, be not far from me. O my God, make haste to help me. May my accusers be put to shame and consumed. With scorn and disgrace may they be covered, who seek my hurt." It's verses 12 and 13 of the psalm. Indeed, shame should fall on those who take advantage of the weakness of illness and old age. Prayer renews in the heart of the elder the promise of God's faithfulness and his blessing. The elderly man rediscovers prayer and bears witness to its strength. Jesus, in the Gospels, never rejects the prayer of those who are in need of help. The elderly, by virtue of their weakness, can teach those who are living in other ages of life that we all need to abandon ourselves to the Lord, to invoke his help. In this sense, we must all learn from old age. Yes, there is a gift in being elderly, understood as abandoning oneself to the care of others, starting with God himself. There is then a magisterium of fragility. Don't hide your fragility. No. It's a reality. There's a magisterium of frailty which old age is able to remind us of in a credible way for the whole span of human life. Don't hide old age. Don't hide the fragility that comes with old age. This is a teaching for all of us. This magisterium opens up a decisive horizon for the reform of our own civilization, a reform that is now indispensable for the benefit of the coexistence of all. The marginalization, conceptual and also practical, of old age corrupts all seasons of life, not just old age. Each one of us should think of the elderly in our own families. How do I relate to them? How do I find them? The elderly who are in my own family. Let us think of our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our uncles, our friends, and aunts and friends. It offers us a certain wisdom for life. Remember that you too will be an old person one day, perhaps. Old age is for everyone. And how would you like to be treated in old age? That's how you should be treating the elderly now. They're the memory of our culture, our families, our societies, and there's a certain wisdom that they have. May the Lord grant the elderly who are part of the Church the generosity of this invocation and of this provocation. And this is for the good of all of us, of them, of us, and of our children. Thank you. The Holy Father's catechesis will have the full text of the